express the complete content. Okay, that means you follow the structure and get hard to finish it. Most of the situation will get the good, successful results. Okay. So MRD is composed of the introduction, measures, results, and discussion. Finally, we need to brief of the content as the abstract. Although abstract always will present at the first page, right? But in the logical thinking, I think abstract should be written as at the end of the process. So in my experience, I always do the introduction at first and follow the MRD structure. And I always find some students very cute. They always uh first things they always want to write in the abstract. They always ask me, Professor, I always feel confused about abstract because I don't know how to write this. I don't have content could write in the abstract. I always reply, yes, because your research have not yet and not done, so you can write the abstract. So in some students' concept, they think they should write an abstract and follow the abstract to split and details to do their research work. That's a very big fault because if you can write the abstract at first, that just mean you know the answer, you know the research results, right? But the logic is so weird because you don't finish your research yet, your experience is not done. So you can't know the results and can you don't know how to conduct the whole research. But you can write abstract. That's too weird. Yeah. So I think the abstract should be the 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 final one. The like this. So the step is you should uh to find some reference and find some papers to finish your introduction. And you could find the interest and what you really want to do, and you will right direction in the introduction, and you will continue to do the master. And in fact, master is to be rough. The introduction introduce is how to do your research. Yeah, and you following how to do your research, and you will get some results and findings. Okay, sorry, results. And according to results, we could introduce the finding, and we could give the readers some tips, maybe some advice. That is called the discussion. And we could list all of the references we find to in the introduction. And finally, according to the whole contents, we could finish the abstract. Okay. So the following page, I will introduce the different parts and how to do that. Okay. And first is abstract. Okay. The abstract is meant to brief and clear. So if you want to do the brief and clear, but your research is not finished, you can't do that. So that is why I spend a lot of time to highlight and repeat abstract should be do the last steps in the whole research. Okay, so the abstract is a simplified version of the paper. Okay, simplify. Okay, very important. And which must contain the main chapters of all the papers, such as introduction, measure, result, discussion, conclusion. Okay, and maybe you will feel a little bit confused. Professor, you mentioned about the conclusion, but I can't find the conclusion in the structure because in the original concept of the IMRD structure, they think the discussion and the conclusion all include in these steps. discussion. Yeah. Could you know do you know the discussion and the conclusions difference? What's the difference between the discussion and conclusion? Does everyone want to share your opinion? Discussion and conclusion. What's the difference? Okay,
I think maybe
good.
the discussion is about the why we have the result.
Yeah, yeah.
And conclusion is about maybe some 建议.
Yeah, advice, maybe suggestion.
Advice.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned almost right, and the key point is suggestion and your real result. Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
And I think if you mention about the result, I probably have to discuss about result, discussion, and conclusion. What's the difference between the three words? It looks very easy, right? But if you think more detail, you could find, wow, maybe they are very similar. So, when I review some master degrees paper and maybe the meeting, I always find a student always confused between the three chapters. They all they often put the wrong contents to the chapters. For example, I remember last year's maybe November, one of the meeting, one of the master thesis proposal meeting, and one student uh, she mentioned about her oh yeah she introduced about the design method used in her research, and the methods chapters she just talk about the process she want to do, but the methods contains how to conduct the research, the methods, the the contents she puts into the results chapter. So that's a very big problem because results is only focused on what we got from the method. So you just need to list every part of, for example, if your method, you use the three research method in your whole research. These chapters, you only have to introduce what's the result and the data you got from the method. So you can't repeat the method how to conduct in this chapter. But this problem often could be found in the uh, master thesis. So each part have a very clearly defined. If you put the wrong content to the wrong chapter, that will cause your paper looks read is very difficult to read and have a very big logic problem. Okay, so results is just talk about, for example, one to list hosts. Our first research method is user survey, right? So maybe the result chapter one, the sub chapter one, and you could mention about user survey results. So the contents in the paragraph you only could write is, okay, so according to the research survey, our this research find the three types of the users. One is blah blah blah, two is blah blah blah. So all of the contents I write in is concerned about the user survey results. So we don't need to write, oh, we use the method of user survey. User survey is a blah 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 research method, and we attempt to use the research survey for blah 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 blah, blah steps. This kind of content should be listed on the method. But these two chapters often could be found in the method thesis. Yeah, it is a big problem. And if we compare about the results and the discussions, and results I mentioned before mentioned is just list the objective, very objective to your method, right? So discussion is according to the result. So each part have a link and connection between each of the parts. So discussion is about if in this research if we got the five results, discussion could combine some of the results. For example, if this chapter we list the 5 objective results, and discussion is the researchers want to combine some results and to discussing a situation and phenomenon. Do you know what I mean? Okay, you got the 5 results, right? Maybe one is, oh, users always like to uh, shopping in this kind of shop. Oh, that kind is the kind is the result, and users in our in our surveys, our users age is between the 20 to 30 years old. Maybe the two paragraph is two result, right? So we could discussion about, oh, according to result 1 and result 2, we could know our users type maybe is a young lady and office lady, because the result 1 I mentioned about the kind of the users. Maybe the users all from the office lady and the young lady and the female. So I could discussion, oh, this type is our main user. And the result 2 shows the age between 20 to 30. So I could know, oh, combine the two results, I could have discussion, oh, maybe our users, we could focus on the young ladies and office ladies, maybe a modern lady. So we could discussion about this. But another confused to the student is if we compare to the discussion and conclusion. I use the same example, okay? So if we discussion the results 1 and 2, we discussion about, oh, our user is blah blah blah. So it's a very clear type and clear discussion. So we could do further to have a conclusion. Conclusion is mean in your research aspect, what is you find and what is you consider. You could just say that by yourself and your judgment. So conclusion will a little bit not very objective, but that's good because everyone want to know the 4 chapters. You do have to very objective and have to improvements, have something to say you have got improvements, but conclusion is your aspect. The readers always want to hear about your aspect from the conclusion. For example, if I say that the conclusion, oh, my our user is blah blah blah. That's in my objective uh, discussion from the data and the results. But conclusion, maybe I would say, um, according to our research discussions, our research consider maybe uh, the situation will have a trend about blah blah blah. So we could talk about the trends and the future. What kind of the direction will be happen? You could have a hypothesis. You have your own opinions. That is conclusion. So conclusions you could say very objective, and you could say your aspect. Okay, so do you know the difference between the chapters? Okay.
Okay, very clear.
Okay, thank you. So in your work, I hope you could just distribute the different chapter and do the right things to put in the right space. Okay. But I know it's very difficult. Yeah, so you have to practice and have a presentation, and I could know what your problem. Okay. And the abstract usually has a word limited, so which is about maybe 2,000 or 3,000 words. Yeah, in the international conference. And so it is very important to choose what information to put into the abstract. In my opinions, if the words just limited about the 1,050 words, some of the conference paper will only need you to present these words. And I suggestions you could just use one sentence or two sentences to describe your background and motivation. You could use a lot of words to describe the method and your result, because the reviewer always focus on the method and result. Yeah, in conference paper, because conference paper always show the future work and sub part of a big research. So the method and the result important in the conference paper. Okay, so if you notice the words is not enough, so you can just use your words to describe detail about method and result. Okay. Okay, this is a case about my abstract. Okay, and you could say that many students need to learn how to give oral presentations. Okay, that's the background. This is showed or many students need to learn how to give oral presentation, because maybe you have to do oral presentation to yourself to present your paper in the conference, right? And maybe some students will use the upper oral presentation skill in their works. Okay, so it's important. So that's just the background. Okay, background. And there is a great deal of general literature on their preparation. That is that means the literature is like the similar like the reference or reference. So the highlights parts is mentioned about the to point out the background. This kind of the topic is very famous. It have a trend. Everyone to know. So the I choose this paragraph. It show the research background and the research importance. Yeah. Okay. And the second is there is a little specific guidance, however, on how students can use language to signal their intentions. So although we want to point out our research is important, but you still have to do the difference area to the big topic and big area, the big direction. So these paragraph 2 talk about there is little specific guidance. That is mean, although the topic is very famous and everyone want to do that, but we choose one of the difficult and is very seldom research to talk about this, but we challenge it. So that is why this abstract mentioned about there is little specific guidance. Okay. So why I show this abstract to example, because the describes the scale is pretty good. The authors use a very simple words to point out their research is very important. But we choose no one finish one of the topic in this big topic, but no one finishes. We do that, so we are very important. do you notice what I'm talking about? Okay, and the third part, the paragraph is using a group of undergraduate students as an example. This paper will argue that the class relations analysis developed by Honey and Winter. This paragraph is talk about what is their subject, their participant, and also talk about their method. Their method is this: relation analysis developed by Honey and Winter, and can provide a framework for oral presentation as well as giving them grades chosen. This part is method. Okay, this is method. Why I can highlight this paragraph? Okay, method. And in the same paragraph, they mention about can provide a framework for oral presentation as well as giving them gather cohesion and the measure of analyzing their effectiveness. Okay, so that's they provide and give you a prediction about their result. But maybe you will think, but the result is a prediction. Why could I use the same way to present the result? Because the result is not as we could find the content to know they don't finish their research right. But why could they do that? Just writing a prediction. Why? Because in conference paper, I mentioned before, the conference paper's purpose is provide a new research trend and new research area and new research direction. So most of the papers, they don't show the result. They just writing, we will do the method like this, and they will describe their research method very detailed. But the results, they will just make a prediction. Because the results, they will finish in their journal paper publication. Do you know the difference between the conference paper and journal paper? I think if you can know in this abstract, you could easily to know the difference. So we could know conference paper main purpose is showing a research trend, research new area, new direction, and you don't need to complete the whole result. You could just list what result you will predict to done. You will find it just like this. Okay, so this case to show to you to know. Okay. So I think wow, it's almost 11. I only talk about the 15 page. Okay, so I think I prepared too many content. That's okay. So I think before we don't have a break, I will introduce the contents to 11:30. But if we can finish the whole contents, I will following. I will continue the next week. We could introduce continue. Okay. Okay. This is case one. Okay. And I think the detailed contents maybe you could review by yourself. Okay. I will upload the whole handouts to my cloud space, and you could download it to review it. Okay. Okay. The case two is another abstract. Okay. This abstract is written by myself. Okay. This is my paper in SSCI journal. The journal is about the technology education. Yeah. Oh, this journal could answer the question Alan's asked me before. Because you all think if you want to choose a journal, right, you will type the keywords on the journal search engine, right? And you always will type design or product design, maybe innovation design or industrial design or industrial product design. Okay, so if you type kind of these words, you will lose the technology. Because I think technology area, maybe technology application, technology education, this kind of words is also very similar to our research area. For example, if you want to do a product design and product innovation to try to find a new way to have a evolution, and you can't lose to know the newest technology in that moment, right? So how to combine the newest technology and suitable technique to the product and make the product to do a good innovation. I think that things is the research contribution, big contribution in our area. So some of the researchers like me, we always submit our research to the technology education and technology application, or the journal is just called the application of the blah 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 area. So this kind of the journal, they are not mentioning about design, so you can find this kind of journal. But this kind of journal is very suitable for us to submit. Yeah. So this case two is my one of the paper. Wait me a minute. I wait a second. I find the whole papers to you. Oh. Oh, sorry. I have to change my Windows. Okay. Okay. Do you see my screen? It's a search engine.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. If you find some professor or researchers' names, and you could find the Google Scholar, or you could research on the database, journal database. You could find these authors what is the author's publication. Okay, this is the recent year my publication, and okay, the study on design oriented. Okay, this paper is the abstract I showed in the case 2 is from this paper. So you could see this paper is a Eurasia Journal of Mathematics, Science and Technology Education. So the whole journal's names don't talk about and mention about design, but the sub purpose and the sub area of this journal, they conclude the design and innovation. That is why I say we can't just type the keywords to find a journal. That will lose a lot of suitable journals. Yeah. That is why you have to ask professional experience. Oh, what kind of the journals you suggesting us to do to submit. Okay. Okay. I think the design area is not very popular and very big. We are very small area. So I think this paper besides 7 times is probably I can't say that is very good, but I think that is pretty good. Okay, pretty good. Okay. So we could know the abstract. Okay. Okay. In nowadays, I think the newest journal, they all have the online publication and online access. Could be download the paper. It's very convenient. But some of the good journal, they are very old, so they don't want to do online because they have too many paper have to upload. So, in my opinion, if you have 2 journal could be submit, each of them is very good. I suggest you should choose the online publication one, because if you choose on the online publication one, they will let some of the researchers read your abstract and your topic, have a very good interesting, and they think, oh, your research is very good for supporting my research, my study. So they will easy to get your papers. And what is the bonus to you to help them to easy to get your paper? Because if you they are very easy to get your papers and have a reference, and you could be very easy to cite your papers in their reference chapter. So that is why these papers I publicate in 7 SCI journals and cite it, because this paper is online. Yeah. So they just want to pay for maybe 3 or 10 US dollars. You could download this paper. But you have to know that the money not into my accounts, because if we submit the paper to a database, they have to invite some scholar to review your paper, right? I have been a reviewer every time, many times, yeah. But invite the scholar to review your paper is a very difficult and very long-term work time. So they have to pay and to spend some resource to do that, to help your papers review. So if you successful pass the review and got the acceptance, and your paper will be published on the journal, maybe in database or in the website. So the uh, the journal editor, they have to work the institute, so they have to I don't want to say sell the paper. Yeah, maybe they will share the paper, but you have to pay some money for it. Yeah, the money will back to their institute, to the employee, to how the institute could be conduct. Okay, so that's the circle. So some students always have a joke to me. Oh, professor, I download your paper, and it costs the school about 10 US dollars. So I let you earn the money. I always will strictly to correct their description, because no money will into our accounts. Yeah, because the money will into the editor and the institute, not about us. Okay, we just submit the paper and public it, and we don't touch any about money. Okay, and you will see some papers download will you don't have the rights, and you don't have a account could be download, because maybe our school don't buy the journal database. So you could find some papers topic you have an interesting, you want to download it, but you can't do that because we don't buy the database resource. Yeah, if we buy it, you could find the download page, and download page will show the money and the price, but you don't need to afraid it, because you download it, our school will pay for it. You don't. Some student very cute and ask me, professor, if I download the paper, if the invoice will send to my to my address and I have to pay it, I just laugh. Oh, you don't need to pay it, because our school will pay for it. Yeah, let's just show a price. Okay. Okay. I think we need to back to our hangouts. Okay. Okay. And so uh this card track is talk about one of my research, and this research is from the MOST project, and this project is concerned about we want to use the VR and AR to do the remix. Let's call the MR, or mixed reality, and we use the mixed realities technology to recording our school factory. Oh, sorry. This research is uh, corporate industry, one of the advertised industry factory. Yeah, I I've, I've uh, I mentioned about the our school is the next research. Okay, this is the before research, and this research we use the technique and help the employees to recording the whole factory to translate to a digital space. So this digital space we have to recording the real scale and some data and the space information, and this is the first step. And the second space we have to use the 3D technique to contribute the every each equipment in the digital space. So the third step the third step is we have to contribute the every each of the equipments to depart as the different parts and could be working like a real situation. Four is we contribute the whole average equipment's working to showing to the in the virtual reality, and we could invite the employee to use some hamlets like equipments, VR equipments, to into a virtual reality to operation the factory equipments in the VR space. That will help them to learn and practice their technique very easy and very safety. Yeah, that is why I conduct this research. And this research cost spent about the 2 years, and our research our government gave me and our school gave me totally about 200 $2 million. Okay, sorry. Okay, so that is the background about the research. So let's look through the detail. Because this is called the background. Okay, the difficulty of the virtual reality application in industrial design education and learning is VR engineer cannot comprehend what the important function or elements are for students. Because this background is shown, I know VR is a trend and a very famous techniques in the future. So I hope to use the technique to help our area to advance our teaching or our practice for the empathize employee. So I want to do this research. That's my great background. Okay, I show in this paragraph. And in addition, in general purpose, VR usually confuse the students. Okay, this is a research problem I mentioned about. Because VR is very convenient, but uh, VR uh, VR designer before 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, they all done by the engineer. So the engineer is not similar to designer. They don't know really user needs in their area. So I I just mentioned about the problem and highlights if I'm a designer, I'm a user researcher, I can do better than the VR design in engineer. And I have the same technique with them. So in the technique aspect, I don't lose them too much, but I could do more detail to find the real and true needed to the users. The users mean the student and the workers. How to uh, how do they need to help by the VR technique. So I do the research. So to solve these problems, the ZMBT QFD model present in this paper. This model is original by myself. I combine the ZMBT method and QFD method to combine with integrate into a model. So that's my present. I present a new way, and I have to prove why I should present a new model to do this research. So this is very complex. So I don't want to mention too many content about this research because this research is very complex and very long term. This cost almost me two years. Yeah. And this is also the part of my PhD thesis. Yeah. Okay. So I prove this model can translate the in-depth demands of VR into actual functions from student thoughts. So this is the method or is method I talk about this the method used in this research. And this paragraph is about the result. So I talk about when the MBTQFD model, uh, 21 items are determined. So these 21 items determined. This is the main result. So I asked almost 120 engineers and students is related about industrial design. So I use the MBTQ model to help to find almost if I remember it's right, I almost find 70 to 80 needs and use the model to translate the high ranking. And I just choose the higher rankings items to be determined, and according to this kind of the items, you follow the function to develop the VR environment. Okay, that is why I mentioned about 21 items. And these functions for you for VR from the student's perspective. So uh, I think the 21 items is still too many. So in our research, we separate the main function and the sub function have a two parts and two importance to development. So the top 10 items are real world parameters and physical database and multiple viewpoints, blah, blah, blah. So our teams and research teams have to focus on this kind of the functionalities to develop it. Okay, in the factory or our MR factory. Okay, so that is my result. So the finding of this study should lead to creation of the concept of design-oriented virtual reality system. That is our conclusion. Okay. So, your turn now. Abstract evaluates is the following abstract is good. That's the question. Okay. Okay, this one. Maybe we could just review this abstract for 3 minutes. Okay. And I will ask you, uh, do you think this abstract is well done or is not good, and why? What is the reason? Okay. I introduce the abstract. This abstract is SCI papers. I got the words by reviewer, so I was this papers reviewer, and I give the whole papers some advice, and I remember my judgment is I think I remember I gave the judgment is refine the paper and give another one to review. Yeah, that's mean I don't let the papers accept, but I think it's probably have some problem, but not very serious. So I think they should refine their papers and to the another one to review again. Yeah. If you probably will be a reviewer in the future, and you will got a paper and some principle, and you have to score it, and uh, different journal will different questionnaire, but they all set up the judgment page to you at the last page, and the option will present as one is rejected and two is uh, uh, two is refine it and to say that refine it and review again or review by another one, and third will say accept but need to fix the problem. Will refine the problem, and four is accept. We in my experience, I always choose the accept and but need to refine the advice, or uh, re, uh maybe refine and send to another one review. I seldom choose the reject because in my opinions, I think every researchers use their whole times periods they write in this paper. So if you just choose the reject, that will give a big punch to them to how to say that, to let feel a very big frustrations. So I think if you think these papers is very bad, is not good, maybe you could just give them some advice in your objective and professional aspect, and help them to be more good and be better and refine the problem. So I think I will give them a chance to send another researcher to review. Yeah. But in when I was a student, uh, I always I got the 11 times about reject. Yeah, very feel very disappointed. Yeah. So I think we have to encourage the new younger student and younger researcher. Yeah. Okay. So do you finish your reviewing about this abstract? So uh okay. I think we just want to volunteer. Yeah. Does anyone want to share your opinions about this object? Do you think the object is good or still have some problem have to fix? No, it's pretty good. But I think I reject this paper. Why? This paper is written by a doctor, but I reject it. No one want to share your opinion. Okay, I think we don't have enough time. Maybe I just say my reason. Because you could see this abstract showed uh, a lot of profession words, and not easy to know what figure out what is it. So I spent a lot of time to know everything I don't know, but I use my time to figure out it. And when I figure out it, I think these papers logic have a big problem. For example, uh, these papers mention about uh, these movable tubes. You can see that, okay, has a small ratio dimension, okay. So this is a features of this kind of parts. So friction hits become an important factor in deciding his loading carry ability. Okay, that is the background. Okay, yeah. So you could find, if you know the IMRD structure, you could very easy to know the whole object. What are they talking about? Even the topic is not your profession area, that's okay. You just have to spend some time to search by Google to know the words, what the words talk about, and what the equipment is, and what the method used in the research, and you will be easy to know the contents. Okay, and so they introduce to reduce the friction hits, the tools lubrication. Because I introduced the background of the author. This author is a dentist. Yeah, dentist. Do you know dentist? It's a doctor to professional about our teeth and some surgery. It's called dentist or dentist. So uh, they use he used a lot of words very rough to describe their method. But in my opinion, you can't consider everything, every each of the reviewer know your area very detailed. I think we all have enough researcher logic and ability to reading everything, but you can't consider every reviewers could know all of your technique. So the one thing I think is wrong is in not only in the abstract, in the whole paper, they uh, they don't expand and explain everything about the professional words, even in their literature review. So that will cause if you are not a dentist and you are not professional in the you're not a doctor, you are very difficult to know and read this paper. And another problem is they mention about the uh, use this equation. I think equation to quantitative research is very important. So I think they must to list the equation very clear and maybe rough but clear. Could let us to know what kind of equation you use in this research. But in the whole papers, even in the abstract, they don't mention about it. So in this paper, I just see researchers describe the research, the study, how to conduct it, but the key points and the method, they don't mention about it. So that is why I reject the paper. Okay. Do you know what I'm talking about? So if you want to complete your paper, maybe do a good abstract, the key points and the key message, you can't just say very simple and just describe a normal sentence and try to maybe they don't want to show the key message to everyone. But if you have the idea like this, I suggest you don't publish your research to the journal paper, because if you decided to publish your research to a journal paper, that is mean you want to share your results and everything. Okay, well, that is why I reject this paper. Okay, this is another one abstract. And this abstract, I give the judgment is accept, because the content is very clear and easy to read, and each part introduced is very simple but clearly and easy to know and easy to read. The method is structured and figure are very have a high connection with the words. So when I finish the review of this paper, I just read once times, but I know all of the detail and the contents and the key points in this paper. So I think this paper is very good. Okay. So next is introduction. Wow. And introduction, you have to finish some sub chapter, uh, subtopic like research background information and defining concepts and lecture review, research gap, research purpose, research question, research value, and overview of the paper. I think you probably will learn these kind of words in the another class, so I don't want to spend time to explain it. So this page is just want to show if you want to have a complete introduction, you have to do everything in this chapter. Okay. Because of time, I just review quickly. Okay. If you have any question, you can ask me. And I think the next week, uh, we could be a discussion time. Oh, sorry. Next week we don't need to have a class on time online because I want you to figure out the whole things about these hangouts and try to use the knowledge and the method to your content before all of things you've done in this semester in this class. Okay, so next week we don't need to have class on time online, but after 2 weeks we have a discussion about your paper writing paper writings uh, uh, contents, and I could know what's your problem and give you some advice. And I think the Hangout 2 will present after 2 weeks at the same time. Okay, because I think we don't have enough time. Okay, and results you have to uh, talk about what is your findings or corresponding to the chapter of the method is important. What does that mean? That means everything you present in the result, you have a connection with the result, the method. For example, if you have method one, maybe use survey. That's just example, okay. And maybe sooner 3. And maybe so we don't have enough time. I have two method. And okay. And when we try to write in the chapter 4 about our results, and you have to connect with your method. So 4.1, we always will type like this: user survey result. Yeah, like this. So this one and this one, these two sub chapter will have a connection. So this chapter we have to writing about how to do. And how to do could be more separate about how is this method maybe utilized in the before study. Okay. And two, maybe I will describe about how do the method sorry how do the method will apply in this study. Maybe use, maybe operate. Okay. If your measure is similar to movements, I think it will be you choose the use or operate. If your measure is like a, a structure, I think you probably you apply or utilize. So use the words detail is have to try to find the meaning is nearly you want to present. Okay, so if in method your 3.1 is user survey, maybe you could describe how to do and how do could separate to the how do this method utilize in the before study and how do the method will apply use or operate in this study. So this subchapter is meant to introduce to the reader. This method is not my provide, but is always used like this. But in my research, I do some things to uh, refine the method. Maybe I add some new method into my structure. Maybe I delete some state because it's not suitable for my research. So you could talk about in the this part. So in the results, you could just write the how do the method will apply in this study, and you could type this. What do you find in the what do you find in the method will apply in this sorry. Do you know how to have a connection? That's important. So if you follow the logic, method to persona, you still have to how to present how do this method you die in the before study and how do the method will blah, blah, blah in your study. And this 4.2 will have a connection to here. That will cause all of the method and the results have a very good connection, and logic will present very good. And if you do everything good about these kind of things, that will make your reviewer feel your whole paper is very easy to know, easy to figure out, easy to read. That will that the situation is meaning your paper is very good to present a new idea to different people, not only for reviewer. Okay, so this is important. Result and method need to have a connection. And discussion is review of the research findings. Okay, so research findings give a possible explanation for the result. So explanation is a very important key point. You have to explain by your opinion yourself. So no one could challenge your explanation because this is your thinking, but you have to according to the result. You can't just say, "Oh, I feel good, I feel well." But if you can say, according to results 1 and 2, we consider or I consider blah 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 blah. Although this is your consider, but you consider according to objective result. So that's it have a high proof to high evidence to prove your opinion. Okay, so 2 is comparing your results with those of other studies. But I will do these ways several times, but it have to be careful because someone will writing like you are judgment you judge the other studies not good. That's have to be careful because that will if you judge the papers is writing by a very big area big boss, you will you will you will difficult to survive in to submit the kind of area paper, because I think the scholar society is very small. So if you do some things judge and not objective, maybe you judge objective, but they don't think you are objective, you will let's say made, and they will cut, they will, how to say that, they will uh, do something bad to you and let you submit always be rejected. Okay, so let's be careful. Okay, so I think maybe, okay, you just give me a possible experience for the results, and this thing is not mean you can't do, but you have to be careful. Okay, be careful. And suggesting the implications and application of the study. Okay, okay, and suggestion for future research. Okay, so okay, almost 12, almost 12. I think I talk too much, but I think it's okay, because I in my responsibility I have to talk about this, to help you to writing a papers to a different aspect. Okay, and these 2 pages showed my conference paper as abstract. Okay, and I shown in the cloud space, and after we finish the class I will send you a link and you could download it to review it. Okay, so after 2 weeks and writing a perfect conference paper, you don't worry about you have to finish the whole things. You just try your best to try to writing a conference paper about 3 or 4 pages. Yeah, and please, according to you, to all the homework, you need to develop the content to complete conference paper. Okay, and I hope I expect you could finish a real small conference paper content and could be submit to some real international conference. Okay, and you could list your supervisor to the author. I think that's okay. Yeah. For example, let me change my screen to my search engine. Okay, you could see my publication list, and this kind of when you see my papers, I was the first authors. The whole research is handled by myself, but you could find some papers like this. Yeah, I'm the last one, maybe the second author. This is handled by the students. Yeah, yeah, like this. And for example, this publication is a conference paper, and these two guys is students, and this guy is a professor. And although the papers I refine for the students, and I help them to finish the papers. So according to the research logic, maybe I could list the first author to maybe a second author. But I think you are your supervisor student, so I always respect the your supervisor. I always give them suggestions to list their supervisor as this part. So in this class, if you want to publish your papers, I will do the same things. you just need to list my last one, and you could list your supervisor. Okay, and you are the original idea, so I think you could be the first author. Okay, like this.